It's blackberry season in Oklahoma.
We visited our favorite blackberry you-pick-em farm to learn more about them. This is Darla. She and her husband own N40 Berries in Stillwater, Oklahoma. She showed us all around, and we talked about everything from the baby plants all the way through to the end-of-season care. But we're going to start with the best part.
Picking and eating.
Then we'll circle back and look at the life cycle of the plants and their care. Our first stop was the hand washing station. Keeping the plants disease-free is a high priority, and you probably won't be able to resist eating a few berries along the way, so clean hands are good for you too. Buckets and bags for picking are provided. Darla even gave Alex some help on picking a bucket color.
That's fine. Are you OSU or OU fan?
OSU.
Then you have the wrong bucket.
Oh, wait. Oh, hey, thank you. My bad.
We have to get the right color.
The blackberry patch at N40 covers an acre. A trellis system supports the plants, and each row has its own zone for drip irrigation. An exclusionary fence surrounds the entire area to keep animals like rabbits from using it as an all-you-can-eat buffet.
And that's why we have the exclusionary fence here. It's actually buried about 4 inches, and there's ground staples about every 6 inches because rabbits were getting in the winter, and they would come along. Let's see, where we see a cane. They would come along here and eat all the way around, and we call that girdling. And so then that damages the part of the plant that receives fluid to the top, and then what it doesn't use goes back down. So phloem and xylem are what those are called, like little blood vessels for a plant. And it damages those, and it can kill the plant.
Originally half this size, they've added more rows to accommodate the demand they get each season.
We started out with 800, and we have close to 1,600 now. The demand, we just couldn't keep up with the demand.
N40 produces 4 varieties of blackberries: Natchez, Osage, Ponca, and Caddo.
Knowing some of the differences can help you decide which ones to pick. If your local farm offers different varieties, you can ask them about these characteristics to help you make your choices. The Natchez berries are the earliest to ripen. They are the largest berries and juicy with great berry flavor, but they can be tart. If you're looking for berries to make jams or cobblers, you will be controlling the sweetness by adding sugar anyway, so this variety is ideal for cooking.
For cooking, we always recommend Natchez. They're big and very juicy, and so to make jams, jellies, cobblers, those kind of things, you add sugar anyway. They don't have as high a Brix unit as the Caddo, Ponca, or even the Osage. But it's okay because you're going to adjust the sweetness to what you want.
Right.
So
The Osage is a smaller berry, but it is also sweeter. It's the second variety to ripen.
this is a pretty sweet berry. Most people enjoy eating these just by hand, but you can also cook with them. You can do anything you want with any of the cultivars as long as you don't eat them all before you get home.
Caddo berries have about the same sweetness as the Osage, but they are bigger and considered a mid-sized berry.
Our Caddo, these are part of the second group that we added on. When we actually first started, these were not even available yet. They were still in trials and studies. The University of Arkansas developed all of the cultivars that we grow. So Caddo are semi-erect, we call them. They don't fall over so much. And you can see this is the last one to ripen for us. And they're a little bigger than the Osage and a little bigger berry than the Ponca, but they're a high bricks unit. But they're later. So there's one that's kind of filled in.
The Ponca is the sweetest of the varieties and are mid-sized. They have low acidity and are a favorite of many customers for just straight snacking.
We have Ponca, and it is the highest bricks that we have, or sugar that we have out here, and people really enjoy this berry. Even you can pick it even not quite ripe, and it's so sweet that you just probably don't even know the difference. So it's also, it's one that's being recommended for the homeowner because it does have a nice, you can see all these flowers that are coming. It has a really strong second flush, so you get almost like two crops, one right after the other. So a lot of homeowners it's being recommended for.
So which is the best overall tasting variety? That comes down to personal preferences, balancing sweetness and flavor.
The best thing to do is to try each kind right there in the field and make your own comparison.
My personal favorite was the Osage, which I was surprised by because it's in the middle of the sweetness range. The good news is that you really can't go wrong. They're all great. After deciding which varieties you want, it's time to start looking for ripe berries. With some fruits, picking underripe is okay, maybe even preferable in some cases. But you only want to pick ripe blackberries because blackberries stop ripening the instant they are picked.
Blackberries don't ripen once you pick them. They are what they are.
This is one of the reasons why Blackberry Pick'em farms are so special.
Commercial producers go to great lengths to get us fresh, ripe berries, but some logistics just can't be overcome. The distribution chain is going to take a little time, and fully ripe berries are delicate and have a short shelf life. So store-bought berries are picked slightly underripe.
Correct, in the grocery store, because those, they have to pick them a little bit green, and they don't, well, not literally green, but not ripe. And so it's not the store owner's fault that the blackberries don't have as much flavor. They have to hold up in shipping.
When you pick local berries for yourself, you can select berries at their peak ripeness. The color is the first indicator that a berry is ready. You want it to be black all over with no red.
But there is more to it than just color.
You're looking at all the bumps, called drupelets, and you want them to be plump. And the dull black color indicates more ripeness than the glossy black.
That's a really good one, Alex, if you want to pick it. See how those drupelets, the bumps, are nice and fat? That's what we're looking for in a ripe berry. It should come off of the cane very easily, and it should be full of fluid, nice and fat, because that's where your flavor is.
Alex, you want to show me that one in your hand so I can get it up close?
Yeah.
Just lay it in your hand and hold your hand flat. So nice, and you see how those berries on there, the little bumps are nice and full?
Yep.
And it's got a nice color to it.
This is a great Natchez. It's so full of fluid. Those drupelets are great big. And a little trivia about those drupelets. Blackberries are actually called a conglomerate fruit because each of those have to be pollinated. That's why there's all of those seeds. It's not one-time pollination. All of the little drupelets are like a little individual plant that share a stem. So you're looking for all of those to get real big and plump because that's where the juice is and it makes it taste good.
And of course, a taste test is always helpful.
The berries you pick are at peak quality. To prolong that quality, get them cooled down right away. Bringing a cooler with you is ideal, but certainly avoid making stops and storing them in a hot car on the way home.
The quicker you can get them cold, the better. If you want to not eat them all before you get home, kind of thing, if you want some to work with, it's really best to bring a cooler and put them in your cooler.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, for on the way home.
One thing you don't have to worry about picking here is thorns. Native blackberries and some cultivars have thorns, but all of these varieties are thornless. When you're all done picking, the weight of your full bucket minus the weight of an empty bucket gives you the net weight of berries, and you pay based on that.
We also picked up a jar of jelly made locally with berries from N40.
It's a good idea to follow their Facebook page to see all the latest picking updates. And if you don't live in the Stillwater area, find your local berry farms by searching the agritourism website for your state. Everyone leaves there appreciating the great berries and the fun of picking them yourselves. But when we learn more about the plants and the work involved in producing blackberries, we appreciated them even more. When they started farming blackberries, they used tissue culture grown plants to protect from spreading disease. The beginnings of all of these plants were tiny plants in a 2-inch by 2-inch pot. The first year, the plant produces canes called a primocane. Except for some special varieties not grown here, these canes will not produce fruit. If left to its own devices, the plant will produce 8 or so canes that shoot up tall and produce a small number of horizontal branches. That means the plant is putting lots of energy into growing big, and that's less energy available for fruit production.
That is where pruning comes into play.
To start with, each plant is pruned back to 5 primocanes.
I'm going to cut it back to no more than 5 canes because the plant can only produce so many carbohydrates to have good fruit.
Then the primocanes are tipped when they reach the desired height.
So this has already been tipped, which literally means as they come up, we go right here. In fact, and we squeeze it and take off the top. When you do that, then it causes these little branches to come out, the lateral branches, and that's where the fruit is. If you look on these plants, the main cane's right here, but the branching is where you find the fruit.
Okay.
This is a primocane that got missed. It didn't get cut back when it should have been. So at this point, it's too hard for me to do it by my fingertip, and I want to prune it clear down here, but the cane's so hard, I'll have to bring clippers and cut it.
Once tipped, the plant grows more lateral branches, which is where the fruit will be produced the next year. So having lots of fruiting branches results in more berries, but that doesn't happen in the first year. Instead, the primocanes enter a dormant stage. The leaves fall off and the plant overwinters. It may look like nothing is happening, but winter is an important time. Some amount of time in the cold triggers the flowering and fruiting process. How much time is cold enough is called chill hours, and the amount of chill hours needed varies by variety. Coming out of dormancy, the primocanes are now called floricanes, and they will produce fruit this year and this year only. So every year, the plant produces a new round of primocanes, which must be pruned and topped. After the floricanes bear fruit, they die off. Dead floricanes can attract disease, insects, and fungus, so all of the dead floricanes are cut away and removed from the blackberry patch.
This year's primocanes will be next year's floricanes, and the cycle continues.
A lot of work goes into training the canes as they grow, too.
These little things. And there's about 20,000 of them out here right now.
So tell me about the clips. Is that just to kind of train them to go the right way? And
Yes.
Keep them? Okay.
Yep.
Because if you didn't, they would just be laying.
They would go everywhere. And when Oklahoma wind gets going, it would just flip them back and forth, and the lateral branches that we want could be damaged. So when we first cut out the flora canes, then these aren't quite as tough and hardy yet until after they go through that dormancy period in the winter. And then when they come back from that, they're, tough wood. They're really strong. And so by clipping them, we not only train them instead of getting all crooked together, but it actually it protects them from the wind because they can't blow too far.
So for us customers, it may seem like everything happens in June, but there's a lot of work that goes in pre and post-harvest.
Because it's pretty labor intensive. We'll be out working, pruning, cutting out canes, that kind of thing, till close to Thanksgiving, and then we start again usually somewhere in February.
Thank you, N40 Berries, for all the work you do and for taking the time to teach us about blackberries.
We hope you enjoyed this adventure and that you make berry picking a part of your summer tradition.
See you on our next adventure.